Good evening, everyone. Um, I welcome everybody in today's session. Uh, a special welcome to Mr. Saurabh Tirpude here today, who is our key resource person for today's session. Saurabh is a graduate from NLIU
Yeah.
uh, of the 2017 batch, and thereafter he worked in the Bank of America for some time as the legal compliance officer, after which he switched to the field that he is working in right now. So I have sent you the profile for Mr. Saurabh here. But just for a quick recap, he is the co-founder and managing director of Campaigns and Political Solutions. So he's basically working as a political consultant and strategist as of now. Anything that I've missed, Saurabh, you can add to it. Also, he is an excellent singer and is always very sportingly. If you need any help from him, he'll always be there for you. Sort of one thing which I have missed in the questions is two, three people asked me that if they want to contact you after this session also. Should any social media platform be the place where they can do so, or would you prefer anything else? So you can add to it at the end of the session. I have left that conveniently to you to decide.
Definitely, definitely.
I request all of the
Oh,
people here, the participants, to kindly switch
so
off.
so should we
And
just start?
yes, yes, sort of just give me a minute. I
Yeah,
request everybody else to please mute their audios and switch off their videos. We can have the interactive session at the end of it once we finish with the preliminary session of it. I hand it over to you, Saurabh, now. You can start with your session.
so thank you, Shrishti ma'am, for the wonderful welcome. I'm privileged, I'm honored, and I just have no words for it. Uh, Also, uh, I'll just give you my introduction first, and I'll talk more about the industry later. So, hi guys, myself Saurabh Tirpude. I've graduated NLIU Bhopal in the year 2017, and now I'm working in our own small venture, CPS. It's a campaign and political solutions. And me and my two other friends co-founded, and then it's just about the politics now. So, hello, Srishti ma'am, am I audible to you?
Yes, you're audible, Saurabh.
Yeah. So, shall we start or shall we wait for people to join in?
I think we should start. They can join in later.
Okay. Okay. So yes, it's always good to have options in hand. Like in our days, we just used to have some conventional options like law firms, judiciary, civil services, and many others. These are all conventional and related to legal field only. Some of uh, us would really have to you know look more into other fields of area of work which is being which are there in the industry. So I'll just talk more about my industry. It's political consultancy we are into. um, so I'll be talking about political what does a political consultancy do, what is its scope, and how do we manage elections per se. Yeah. So coming to the scope of the political consultancy, it's a political consult. What is a political consultancy? It's a form of consulting that eventually consists of advising and assisting political ideas, strategies, campaigns to different political leaders and parties by whom we are hired. So we as consultants, we advise campaigns on many other activities, ranging from opposition research and voter pulling to field strategy and get out the voter. efforts. Sometimes political consultants acts as political strategists, who promote the election of certain candidates or interest of certain groups. So this is primarily achieved by planning campaign strategies, coordinating campaign staffers, and arranging events to publicize candidates or causes. So this is basically the core idea of what is a political consultancy, is to manage elections, to do campaigns for political leaders, and build a narrative around it. So there are four types of or kinds of or four stages, I would say, which we work on. So first stage is definitely ground. So there's always, before going for the any election, you need to know the ground, what a voter thinks about the political leader who's going to contest election. So first thing we do, on ground intelligence. On ground intelligence covers field surveys, social listening. What is social listening? Social listening is basically an informal one-to-one conversation with the voters, pan wala, chai wala, door to door. There can be a lot of ways to have social listening thing, and then voter sentiment, caste analysis, and fact-finding reports. So on the basis of such reports, we build narrative, we build campaign narrative. When you go to the smallest level, which we call it a booth, so you need to understand this. So there's a assembly constituency, and if it's a urban constituency, it's assembly constituency, then comes wards, then the next layer is booth. In a rural constituency, there's assembly constituency, then comes Zilla Parishad, then comes Gram Panchayat, and the last smallest part is booth. So I feel very proud to say this, that our agency, our political consultancy, is the only consultancy in India which works in the smallest existing level, which is the booth level. So how beautiful the report can be, and a lot of concerns, issues raised by the political leaders whom we are working for, and a very good comprehensive report we can present if you know the ground. So first thing is ground. Secondly, social or digital campaigning. It covers, I'll just give you a brief about it. It covers Facebook, it covers Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, etc. And then the TikTok as well. We can also use TikTok for our campaigning now. And then thirdly, there's data analytics. Analytics is basically, you need to know the comparison of previous held elections in that particular constituency. So on the basis of this, you can just grade different booths as per which booth is more convenient for the current leader, which is contesting the elections, or the party person. And fourth thing is PR, managing its all PR activities. So yes, this is broadly the four bases which we work on. Then the question comes amongst the various field law, like corporate law, judiciary, litigation, etc. What opportunities does this field of political analyst could provide? So I would like to say that it's basically not a desk job like any other law firms and law chambers. This is more of a job where sometimes you need to be on the ground. Like I've already said it, you need to be on the ground. You have to be on your toes, talking to various people, gauging their sentiments. And, one need to be very smart on understanding the mind of the voter. That is very essential. And which essentially makes a good report to present to our respective leader or the party. So I would say one needs to keep analyzing, analyze all its reports, which it generates from the ground, and then brainstorm to, invent the most effective and impactful campaign narratives, campaigning ideas and strategies for the later stage of the elections. So it would be more on applying your own mind on how can you build the most impactful narrative and make the opposition fall into it. So I just want to give you a brief you know I just want to share my own experience on how did we manage the my first ever elections in Gujarat. Like you all, Srishti ma'am already told you that I, I started working in Bank of America initially. So I worked there in 6 months. Then I was waiting for this offer from some or the other, political consultancy from where I can just go and groom myself, learn how to do things. So first election I've done is Gujarat elections. It's in November 2017. Yes, November 2017. So when I went there, the whole narrative was against Vijay Rupani, the incumbent chief minister of Gujarat. So I basically worked for BJP there and in the CM constituency, which is the Rajkot West. So the whole narrative is against, there's a leader who was immensely, rich, who has massive resources to, call. He was the Congress leader. I was talking about the Congress leader who was being calling Arijit Singh, Neha Kakkar, Atif Aslam, and doing, all sorts of biryani parties and whatnot. So the whole, at that point of time, the whole narrative was set against the incumbent leader, which is Mr. Vijay Rupani, who's the current CM of Gujarat. So what we have done, it's just the 45 days left for us to, show our magic, what we can do about it. Like, how can we shift the narrative in our side? So they were the party in itself, like it was a very safe seat for BJP, and the party itself was very scared. Like, how can we, just shift the momentum in our favor? So we just did an initial 5 to 6 days survey. We had a conversation. Like I just told you, the social listening, we just had it with a lot of different people, and we do it in all the demographics. Demographics means all the genders, all the castes, all the age groups. So there are three demographics which we cover: age, gender, and caste. So it's a very small survey we did, and then we came to the conclusion that yes, that was the time of demonetization. That was the time of GST came into the this thing. So we wanted to change the whole narrative. So what we have what we did was ठीक है, मोदी जी ने किया है, केंद्र में किया है, demonetization से नुकसान हुआ होगा, GST से नुकसान हुआ होगा, but then what is more important is ये इलेक्शन जो है, ये चुनाव जो है, ये केंद्र वाला चुनाव नहीं, ये this is not the election of for choosing your PM. This is the election on the basis of which you can choose your own CM. So this is the वो एक constituency थी Rajkot West. So we have started spreading this thing from like different leaders, Arun Jaitley, Amit Shah, even Narendra Modi. They started coming. Hello. Yeah. So they've started pushing our narrative ki this is the talk of the leader of the town. ये गुजरात के नेता का सवाल है, ये यहाँ के अस्मिता का सवाल है कि आप कोई MLA नहीं चुनेंगे, आप एक CM चुनने वाले हैं. So हमने एक स्लोगन दिया था वहां पे कि राजकोट का बेटा गुजरात का नेता. And then we pushed it across all the collaterals, all the stuffs which we used during that election, and then we won the election by 60,000 difference. So you just need to build that narrative, build that things which possibly, or which that it will going to have a great impact on the whole election. So yes, talking about the disadvantages of this whole field, I would say it's all comes down to your interest here. Uh, I know it's too much of traveling one state to another, but if you love traveling, it's a plus. Secondly, there's one more disadvantage which a lot of people in this industry feel or suffer with is stability. Like stability, that's an initial disadvantage. But stability had always been like a major issue in this domain. I mean, uh, there are two kinds of stability. One is financial stability, second is personal stability. Financial stability means if the election is over, what is next? So yes, you need to, after one election, you just need to keep yourself attached with that particular leader for the rest of the work. I'll talk more about it the later stage. Um, then also, there's one personal stability. Like at some point of age, at some point of time, your family wants you to get settled down. Like they want you to get married. uh, that's a constant pressure keep coming from the family that it's a traveling job, too much of traveling. You just need to sit down somewhere and keep focusing on one particular area, or just party and just attach yourself with some of the party. And if you have this interest with you, just settle down something. So but yes, at the same time, matlab, family stops pressurizing you when they see you performing well, when they see you enjoying your work and earning a handsome amount out of it. uh, Also, when like we were in law school, this industry was a very nascent industry. It was a very noble industry. Uh, I know Mr. Prashant Kishore, who we feel the pioneer of this industry, political consultancy. Prashant Kishore. Every one of you must be knowing Mr. Prashant Kishore, who's associated with a company called IPAC, Indian Political Action Committee. Is the biggest uh, consultancy in our industry right now. So you need to know more about your options, which is being there for you. They're just not the conventional thing you just need to keep going for. There are other options as well. So coming to the next question is, what skill set does a political analyst must have? So you know as per me, one need to be smart, one need to be confident and presentable and politically sound. Politically sound is the, one can be apolitical, one can be political, but the question, the uh, issue is that, you know, he or she should be politically sound. So on taking most of the interview, we always check that the person is politically sound or not, whether he knows about the national level politics, state level politics, which is going to see its elections. Presentable, by saying presentable, I just don't mean that appearance wise. It's more about how you make reports when you being sent on the ground. Like say I have a team of 12 people, and I need to manage 13 different assembly constituencies, so I can't be everywhere. So I have to have a helping hand with me who can just uh, you know feel that pressure, feel that uh, who can just sit with that particular political leader and then make himself comfortable by our reports. So we generally want people who are presentable, who are politically sound and confident, because handling these political leaders is a bit of a task here. So obviously one need to be smart, one need to be presentable, confident and politically sound. The other question comes to mind, that what all things one should be updated to be a better one, or what are the key activities that a law student must follow while in a law school, which might be helpful. So you just what you do, would you just, if you have any sort of interest with this field, what you need to do is just follow all the elections in different states. You just get a picture about what all other parties are, what all its leaders are. Keep yourself updated with the functioning of these political parties and how do they uh, create impact to that particular election. So yeah, coming to the procedure, procedure to get into such profession, like as such opportunities, and which are not known to all. Obviously, um, like as I already said, you can um, always start applying for various states fellowship program. There are states which does this fellowship program, or you can always work as a volunteer with some political party during your vacations, um, which I personally did. Like, I just want to give a brief, like how my interest developed for this field. So back in 2012, when this Anna Hazare movement started, and India Against Corruption IAC movement started, and we all are very, very enthusiastic about it. We have all corruption was all the uh, notions at that point of time. Uh, People wanted a party which have some stability, have less, who's not less connected with the people, or there was a sentiment of change at that time. So I started my interest in this domain. Like, we both, my father and I, were an active part of the India Against Corruption movement when the Aam Aadmi Party founded itself in 2012. My father parted ways, but I kept you know my interest in with this party, and I tagged myself along with this party, Aam Aadmi Party. So I worked with it. There was a election in assembly elections of Delhi in 2013. Uh, I missed 15 days of my college, and I continued. I prolonged my internship, and I just wanted to be there for the result, and where we won 60. We won 28 seats in our first elections. So yes, that's very exciting for one to. And then on a lighter note, I just want to discuss about what the environment was there in my college during these times. Like 2014 elections was on its way, and there were discussions that there are only two types of people exist in the college. There's one pro Modi, and the other one are anti-national. So these sort of healthy discussions were a part of our daily. Like, I just don't remember any particular day where I didn't discuss politics in my college time. So people associated, like, tagged me with the jhadu wala thing. Like, I started this in my college, and then that's how my interest generated. I wanted to know more about the industry. I wanted to work with these sort of work atmosphere where I can know more about it. Um, Obviously, then comes the ideology. Whether like can a person remains apolitical while working in this field? Uh, I just want to everyone nowadays is political in some or the other sense, or politically motivated or inclined towards any political party or leader. But yes, we in our political consultancy, we are not just the scope of work we do. We just not limited to one individual political party, to one particular leader. We've kept ourselves open to every party or every independent individual. So you have to become apolitical. You have to be apolitical once you have signed a contract with a political party which is of not your own political ideology. So having an ideology is not an issue until unless it is adversely affecting your work on the ground. Don't want my people to be biased while they are working on the ground, while they're uh, taking down notes, while they are on the ground and talking to different people to know their sentiments. So also one question comes to my mind, or your mind as well, that can we manage our career in law as well as political analyst or consultant simultaneously? So I would say no. So that's not a balanced attitude. But in this particular industry, I've seen a lot of people. I've seen many of my colleagues who have been doing it simultaneously. I know people traveling from states to states with a bag of bear rats and constitution in it. And people sometimes look at it as a good preparation time for judiciary or civil services, because in non-election days you're mostly free most of the time, uh, and one can easily get time to prepare for competitive exams like judiciary and other civil services. So yes, you can, if you want to indulge yourself in, or you have interest to, if you have that feeling that you can just do something about this political consultancy work, you should just start, uh, build your CV around it. I would say just this is the best time. The first year, second year, third year, this is the time where one can check its own comfort level, its own, like when I did my first law firm internship, I was like, no, I'm not a, a law firm person. I just can't sit on the desk and you know do things for hours. So that's not me. So that was the point. In my second year, I've decided that law firms is not my cup of tea. So I was looking for more options. So yes, this is the time when one should start, looking for the options, looking for the opportunities. And people like Shrishti ma'am, like you are in safe hands, I would say. They would keep you on the track. They'll guide you to the best possible opportunities what you should have in your future. And obviously we are there because I belong to Jabalpur. You guys are from my city, so I have a kind of bias for this college as well. So in any time at the later part of this life, if I want any opportunity to visit your college to have a one-to-one conversation with people who are interested in this field, I'm honored to do that. So yes, coming back to the point, uh, what subject should we focus on as a law student uh, if we want to opt for this field? Yes, so focus on each and every subject, bro. Political consultancy doesn't require any specialization in one particular subject. Focus on each and every single yellow colored universal bear. So there's no escape. You just need to be focused on whatever the syllabus is, whatever the subjects are being taught. So no, don't compromise with anything. Just keep yourself updated with whatever is happening around your country. What is the national politics is all about? What is the state politics requires you to have knowledge about? uh, Also, like, obviously, Shrishti ma'am asked me this question, ki, what prompted you to leave your job in Bank of America and to join this new field? I would say passion. I would say interest. So I was in Bank of America. I already mentioned it. I worked there for 6 months, and I was waiting for one single day when I just get a call from this uh, consultancy named Poll Tactics Consulting. It was my first company which I joined, and I've learned how to, what is electioneering is all about. So yes, I was waiting for one for that offer, and yes, it was very difficult for me to my for my parents to accept the fact that I'm not going to choose the conventional field. Yes. The next uh, question is that, is there anything like placements in this field? Yes, there are placements in this field. A lot of industries, a lot of companies, including IPAC, um, ABM, Association of Billion Mind. Then there is Jarvis. They still offer placements. So if you're really interested, you just you know just give Shrishti ma'am a name of list if you want to have any internships with such companies. I'll just you know get in touch with them for you. Also, the question comes to the mind: is GPA relevant for this also? So I would say that I would not have been, I wouldn't have been sitting here for this lecture had GPA been relevant. So, but that doesn't give you the leverage to compromise with the GPA. Having good grades always help. We always prefer people having good grades on their CVs. Obviously, politically sound, their presentation, their the convincing power, everything matters. But then having good grades always give you an upper hand. That's one thing. Uh, Also, if you talk about the scope and the future of this field, election happens every year in one or the other states or in the central level. Future is totally there for one who sees it. Sometimes some company, works for only one political party and establishes or stabilizes itself in that particular location and manage all future elections for that particular party. So yes, if you want to attach with one particular party, you obviously have that option. The only requirement is you need to prove your worth, that you just can't make them lose and expect future work from them. So it depends on how do you want to go ahead with this. uh, Also, as a young person in this field, like uh, Shrishti ma'am uh, asked me this question, that how do you convince such political figures to hire you for this job? How do you like start networking for this for such opportunities? So I would say that that takes a lot. We always look for a confidant of that political leader who can just pitch us in for a meeting, for a single meeting. Now what? Now we just need that one meeting, because we have built an enormous CV around. Like, we have a winning CV for ourselves with 80% of successful elections. So when you have such strong CV, when you have such strong winning percentage, everyone wants to hire you. Yes. So when you make people win elections, people start trusting your worth. Yes. And obviously, when you have such a friend who's a son of some big leader, you really want to use him as your resource. So yes, there are connection. There are some people who know us recommend us to different political leaders, or we look for a middleman who's the confidant of the political leader, so that he can arrange a meeting for us, and we just pitch in what we can do for them to win these elections. So the next question comes, that how difficult was it to leave a stable salaried job and switch to co-founding this company? So yes, it was very difficult for my mind for leaving an 80K month a job, 80K month K a month, and going for a lesser pay package of 60K a month when I joined a company like Pull Tactics Consulting. But then yes, it was absolutely difficult for my parents to digest the loss of 20K a month. But that was just for 6 months. Money was never a problem in this industry. I, with my other two friends, co-founded this company, CPS, in a Starbucks in Bangalore. So that's very, sometimes this question of stability comes uh, to the mind of my parents as well, and that's a concern. But I keep myself motivated, and I keep telling them that this is my interest, this is what I want to do. Actually, there's a power cut, so you must be with me. uh, the next question comes, as a law student, do you have an edge over other people working in this field? So I always think that the students of NLUs, the students of national law universities are way more better than these other engineers, be it IITians or management students like from IIMs, in terms of our approach and our presentations. So activities like moot courts, debates, always help one to build a strong overall character. So yes, uh, we as a law student absolutely have an edge over other people like engineers. We are more presentable, we are more analytical in our approach. So yeah, that's there. So Shrishti ma'am, if you have more questions from this batch, or if you want to know more about the sort of elections I've experienced, you can just
So
open it to everyone. Yeah.
I will give a vote of thanks prior to everything else, because I'm not sure how long the meeting would last. I'm not sure if the 40-minute thing is happening or not. But for everyone, I just want to say he's downplaying everything. And he has always
That's not true.
been a very positive person, and nothing that anyone could ever say would ever affect him. Like he said, everybody gave him a tag of Jhaduwala, I remember, in the university, and he was never moved by it, and he would use it in a positive angle, and I was always very, very, very proud of being associated with him. Um, I'm not sure how long this would last, so we'll throw it open for some of the people who are typing things as questions. I would want you to ask it, since it's very difficult to read all of it and then answer a question. Anybody who has a question can ask it. If the meeting ends, then we'll have to end it then and there. So that is that.
Yeah.
Aditya, you wanted to ask something? Aditya Puri. There's so many questions typed. Shaleshwar, Aditya, you had questions. If you want to ask anything, we can have the questions right now.
Okay, I think Aditya has some question, and
Yes.
the audio is not working, I guess.
Okay. And the light is back. Yes. Great.
And the light is back. Yes.
Can you read it on the chat, Saurabh, or should I read it out for you?
I'll just do that. So, okay. So Aditya, politics is an art. Also, the statement depicts the various possible
Is it chat?
So I'm reading the whole thing first. Okay, so see, I've already mentioned it that one can have its own political ideology. The only concern is that you should not be biased for one or the other party or the leader, because this is the industry where you need to work if you want to grow in life, if you want to if you want your company to um, grow as a company in itself. You just need to be more open uh, to work for any of the political party, which have different political ideologies. So yes, you have to remain apolitical while working with them, and that's how you can succeed. Obviously, there's this thing, like after 2014, the word communalism or the word casteism has been in the news. But you always need to be keep yourself away from such controversial thing, and just focus on your work style. Just develop more modules which can give a good impact on the overall election process. So you just need to be more uh, open about it. Just don't keep yourself limited to one or the other political party. This is not going to help you or to grow you as a person. Just uh, I'll just see the next question. uh, in both center and state. Okay, so yes, what happens to the industry if both center and state assembly election held simultaneously? That exactly what happened with me when I was doing it for BJP in Odisha election. So there was Lok Sabha election, and then there is this Odisha assembly elections, which is there simultaneously. So obviously, it's a challenge for us to manage different assembly leaders with the uh, MP level leader. So it's if you're doing it for the same party, it's not that challenging task, because you just need to uh, make people vote for a particular party, for a particular single. But we in ourselves do not take work from two different parties on a single constituency. So it's a bit of a it's a bit of a challenging task in itself to manage two different elections at the same point of time. But yes, if you have this manpower, if you have this module, if you at the end of the day trust yourself that you can do it, you just can do it easily. So that's my take on that. And okay, there's one more question. There has been a commercialization of politics in the past few decades. It's affected democracy. Uh, Saleshwar Yadav is the person who asked the, okay. So yes, a huge money being involved after 2014 elections. So yes, there's a commercialization in politics in past few decades and past few years, I would say. And everything is just not about the money. It's about a populist face. You want to be in power. You want to become a national level leader. You want to become an international level leader. You sometimes want to have this, like Scindia did. I think Scindia, what Scindia did was, he was looking for an opportunity, which Congress couldn't solve it. Giving him some responsibility in the state politics would have solved this problem in an earlier stage. But everything is about, like, how do you get the opportunity? How do you deal with the situation? You want to grow. Every leader, like I've came across with number of leaders, and everyone wants to grow, wants to see that opportunity to win the election, and he doesn't see how much amount does it take. So if we tell him that we need a 3D vehicle, if we tell him that we need this, he will arrange it for us. So there's a huge money involved in the whole process. And yeah, so everything is commercialized. So okay, at time of JP Narayan, there was ethics and morals and politics, but now political leaders are not afraid of demeaning. And Salishwar, it's a very good question you kept asking. Basically, JP Narayana was a movement. Anna Andolan was a movement, and then some of the political parties came out of it. So okay. So a political party which is came out of the movement wants it's a voter base intact, wants its volunteers to work more. They don't have money, they don't have enough resources to win, to fight elections. So they go for this volunteer calling. Uh, they hire us for minimal charges and ask us to campaign them for sometimes free. And when we really feel privileged if someone calls us like that also, just give us the minimum uh, benefits, and then we'll do it for you. But we always look for the intention. We do not uh, do campaigns for any corrupt leaders who are known culprits, who are criminal. We have this but the elections are all about money. They want to invest thousands and lakhs and crores of people money buying people votes. They they feel the elections can be won by that way. But now I think the scenario is changing. The momentum is shifting towards the new concepts of winning elections. And that's why we as an industry are growing. So yes, uh, I think I've okay. um, Both. The next question is from Ram Tiwari. Both all state assembly and central election held together with us. It's industry on a long vacation because no election. Okay, yes. So Ram has asked a good question, that if both the elections are taking place simultaneously and then there is no work. So that's not true. That's not true. If you have done some successful elections, I mean, like what we do, we don't leave that political leader. We don't leave that person who has won by our services. So we just want to continue our services with, we just attach ourselves with those particular leaders to and establish our war room in that particular constituency for the later work. So it's not that the whole industry is on a vacation. Yeah, it is for some of the new industries, for some of the new companies, but yes, that's not true in uh, okay. Abhinav Jaina. From the perspective of okay, so this question is coming from Abhinav Jaina, that the perspective of political party, does the ideology of a political consultancy company plays a crucial role for hiring? No. This is not like that. This is totally depend on our previous work, what we have done so far. Like I told you, we have managed I have personally seen 7 different elections till date, including general elections and 6 different state elections. So we have this, success rate of 80%. So people know your worth. People recognize your worth, and they want to associate themselves with you because they know these people are going to, make things feasible or make things better for you in the long run. Uh, the next question is again from Aditya. Please throw some light on how much money can be generated from such assignment. Oh my God. Okay. So, yes, like we as a company, I just don't want to go into the details of it. But then, yes, it's a huge, uh, money involved in such assignments and doing such assignments. Um, we we hire we charge them our consultancy fees, and then we just ask them to arrange 3 things for us: accommodation, traveling, and food. So that's the complimentary thing from the party or the leader, apart from the consultancy fees. So yes, there's a consultancy fees, and then there's a bonus attached to the winning. So uh, money is not an issue. Money is not an issue until unless you're proving yourself um, in their eyes. So yes, how do we in turn volunteer in any political office or local leader? How to pitch? I think for this we can just have a later conversation to know more about how do we do it, how do we uh, become an active volunteer. Or I'll share my this thing with Shrishti ma'am, and she will definitely help you out with these things to get internships and uh, to do volunteering services with political offices. The second question from Abhinav Jain is, how conducive is investment environment with regard to political consultancy in India? I think I've already answered this question. Adit, so please throw some light on how much money can be. Okay, so I think Shashi ma'am, I think I've already answered most of the questions and the queries. And if they want to know more about it, just share my number with them, share my Facebook profile with them, share my uh, LinkedIn profile with them. Just it will be more better for them to know more if they are really interested. And you can just call me sometime in the college.
Definitely, and I think everybody would agree here that I don't think anybody else could answer these questions as thoroughly and patiently as you did. Even I lose my patience after sometimes I've been very, and
No,
I
no, no, no. I'm
mentioned
sorry. I'm sorry. I take a bit of a time to explain myself, to explain how, because it's a new industry in itself, and people have a lot of questions about, and the whole world is political now. So yeah, that's very obvious.
no, it was absolutely required actually. So I thank you for that, and I would definitely share your LinkedIn profile. I think that would be better. I'd share your LinkedIn profile with them if they require
Definitely, definitely.
information, and if there's any session required after this COVID situation, we would definitely call you on campus if you're there.
I'm up for it
I think that there we would probably have a colorful night.
because it's my home, Shrishti ma'am. I can just drive and come down to DNLU. So
So
you just need to give me a call.
we'll definitely do that. All
And
right.
then I feel really honored. I feel privileged, ma'am. Just thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences on such nascent field. So I feel honored. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we'll end the meeting now, and I'll definitely
Yeah,
be in touch with you for all of.
definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.